and this stream is about where I was at yesterday. Where I was at yesterday was off the scale. So for those of you who are in the dark, if you're not in the loop, there was a massive, 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 mega, giant rave on in Skegness at the Hive, Skeg Vegas, and there was a launch event on there called Havoc, and there was six full of pretty much just the best in the game. I mean, names to mention, there was Ian Van Dow, there was Karen Parry, there was Baby D, there was Ultra Beat, there was Groove Rider, Nicky Black Market, there was people like Rob IYF, DI, there was Hardcore Room, there was a 90s room, there was a techno room, there was a drum and bass room, there was a house room, there was just literally just 6 different arenas that was absolutely packed out, full of music. And my friend Lee, he had been obviously booked to go down and do the pictures, and you know, with a lineup like that, there was no way I was going to miss it. So when he first got the booking announced, which he told me about it weeks ago, months ago, I think, even a couple of months back, I think it was, I was like, I've got to come to this one. And the lineup was just absolutely banging. And it really was. It was. I've never seen anything like it in all of my life. And I've been to a few good raves during my time. I've been to some banging places. When I went down to Rave Anywhere down in I forget the Milton Keynes. That was a really banging rave. That was massive. That blew me away. Going to places like Bounce to Your Drop in Scunthorpe, they blew me away. You know, but this one last night, this was just something else. So it started at 6 in the evening, and it went on till 6 in the morning. Now we didn't stay while 6 in the morning, because unlike most people that probably went to that rave, they'd have stayed in a hotel or stayed in a caravan or probably lived local to the area. Whereas us, we had about a 2-hour drive back, and obviously, you know, we'd been to an event the day before as well, so we was obviously, well, I am feeling it. I think we've got a third one today. Well, I know Lee has. I'm just waiting to find out whether I'm gonna ride it with him or not. But yeah, it was absolutely banging. So I think we got there about 6:30. We sort of took a steady drive, and I'll be honest, there was a couple of points along the way where I was going to get Lee to turn me back around and bring me home, because as I got going and travelling in the car, I developed like a really bad headache. It was awful, to be honest. It was coming on like real bad, and it was getting quite sharp. And as we were sort of getting closer to Skegness, I was starting to feel worse, to the point where the headache was actually making me feel a little bit sick. And I'm thinking maybe I just need to eat something. I wasn't really sure. Because to be honest, I lost track of time yesterday. I got up, I was chilling, had a little blast on the PS4, and then before you know it, it was like mid-afternoon, and I wasn't sure what time we were setting off. And then I actually texted to find out, and he was like, "I'm coming for you in 20 minutes," and I weren't even ready. I weren't even prepared, which is like the mad crazy thing. So I'm like pushing about to get ready. So I like grab a piece of toast really quickly, get dressed really quickly, and then I shoot off, set off on the road, and then boom, this headache just develops. And like I say, as I'm getting to Skegness, it's getting worse and worse. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I might have to tell Lee to turn back around and bring me home. But I didn't want to ruin it for him, because it'd been booked. And also, you know, there was other reasons that I won't go into. But it would have been a waste for me if I hadn't have gone. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of felt like I can't miss it. So we get into Skegness, and we tried to find a place to park, which we went into a pay and display car park, which you just could not find. There was not one space in that car park. there was cars driving in and then literally driving out because they couldn't park. And if a car did happen to leave, there was like instantly another car that would just take the spot. So we had a little drive about, and then we decided to go down a little side street, back street, just off the seafront. So obviously the venue is on the seafront. There's balconies that look out across the seafront, you know, and give you an absolutely amazing view of the, you know, of the like sea and the piers and all the like little fairground rides and stuff, which was wicked. So we finally get parked, and luckily there's a McDonald's right on the seafront, so we thought, you know, we'll just go there, it's quick and easy, use one of them machines, grab a quick bit of food. I didn't really know what I wanted because I was feeling like ill at this point. I was feeling quite sick, didn't feel good at all. So I thought, well, I'll grab something because it might sort me out. And what a regret going to that McDonald's, trust me. It was so rammed, it was so busy that the staff didn't even know what they was doing. And my friend Lee, he ordered some food, and he was order number 5, and his order had come up on the screen to say that it was ready and disappeared before they'd even called it out, and they'd actually lost the order. So he had to up to the till, and he was like, I've lost the order, you know, what the fuck do I do? And then there was another woman who was something like 87, had quite a biggish order, and she missed her order. There was another woman who ordered food to take out, and she actually got the food, but she got it on a tray, as if they thought she was eating in. She was actually eating out. It said on the receipt to take out. So he had to go back and change all the order and put it in the takeaway bags, which was just a complete nightmare. And then my order, nothing bad happened with my order. It just took like a hell of a long time to, you know, to come. So I'm stood in a packed McDonald's. There's people shouting. There's people talking. I've got this banging headache. It's busy, and because it's busy, it's warm in there as well, so you can really feel the heat. And I'm stood there thinking, I don't know how I'm gonna manage this rave. And then Lee gets his food before me, so he's like, I'll eat outside. So I get my food eventually, join him and eat outside. I don't get a drink with it either, I just got the food because I'd had this drink in the car. This water grape and blackcurrant, white grape, sorry, and blackcurrant. And it's really nice actually, it's only 60p. Because I got this when I had headache when I got this just before we left Hull, and I thought it might be better than getting something fizzy like a bottle of Coke. Although this does have a slight little bit of a fizz to it. So yeah, so we eat our food, and then we head on to the venue, and that's where the magic starts. And by the way, I don't know what happened to my headache. It just sort of disappeared. I think the food might have helped, but I was a little bit unsure as to why it would have been the food, because when we left the event on Friday, like as we left, we ate on the way back, and then obviously before I left yesterday, I did have a bit of toast. So it wasn't like my stomach was completely empty. So maybe I was just run down and tired, I don't know. But anyway, we get to the event, and the event starts at 6, but there's only the 90s room open. So some of the other rooms, they're opening a little bit later on. So there's a 90s room, sorry, and there's a house room open. So the house room is like all your, you know, like your new house, like your tech house, and you know, like your sort of like newer stuff, which was hosted by DJ Z. That room was wicked. That room was really banging. It was well decorated. It was like a real posh room. It was like you know, there was like nice sofas in there. There was, you know, there was loads of like sort of like green flowery in there and pink writing. You know, it was just like a real like a real posh place. There was a massive sort of like glass window with like a, I can't remember it. I think it was a Lamborghini in it. And then there was like and then there was like sorry about this. 2 seconds. Oh dear. yeah, so there was like a Lamborghini. There was sofas in there. It was like a VIP room. I didn't obviously get to go in there, but yeah, it was banging. And then upstairs, the 90s room was decorated out like a warehouse. So there was all like these almost like these like metal panels. They were sprayed black, and then there was all like graffiti on them. There was like smiley hippie faces. There was like like mushrooms on the wall and stuff. There was like writing that just said like just dance, let's rave together. Like a peace, love, and unity. And it was just absolutely, it was a massive room up there. It really was. So we go up there because when you first get there, trying to figure out where everything is. And every time you want to go to another room, you've either got to go downstairs or you've got to go upstairs. So like the hardcore room was right at the bottom of about 5 flights of stairs. So you're in the hardcore room and you want to go up to the 90s room. You've got to go up about 5 flights of stairs and you've got to go past all the other rooms. So the 90s room was on the top. And then obviously, you get there and it's like this massive warehouse. So we go in there and there's a guy and he's pumping out the classics. So he's pumping out like 90s like house classics. And I remember, I hadn't been in the room long. I can't remember what song was playing, but he mixed the Happy Clappers, I believe, into it. And just when you sit there and you just have like a moment where you stood there and you have like a moment, and I'm like thinking, holy fucking shit, this is awesome. And you could just hear the start of the piano coming into the Happy Clappers, I believe. And sometimes when you hear a song in a certain place at a certain time, and then you hear the song in a different way, like I heard that song in a different way. And I love that song so much because of that moment yesterday. Like, I always love the song anyway, but it just did something to me. Like, it just sounded so good in the sound system. And the guy who was mixing, he was mixing these 90s tunes just like you could not fault the mixing. It was just crazy. And then he went into stuff like the bomb, these sounds fall into my mind. He had like, and then he went into some like trance stuff, like DJ Jean the Launch, and then we had like Darude Sandstorm. There was like Living Joy Dreamer and stuff like that. But the way he mixed them in was just absolutely flawless. And you recognised every tune. It was a banger. And the 90s room just got harder as it went along. So it started off with like the house classics, and then it sort of went up into sort of like the trance, and then it was sort of like the art house, and then it went into like bounce and donk. But it was all like remixes of 90s tunes. And it was just, it was amazing. Like, I've never seen anything like it in my life. And just as the night was going on, that room was getting fuller. It was getting fuller, fuller and fuller. And it was rammed. And at one point, because when we first arrived, the house room was rammed. It was a really busy room. And then basically the 90s room just deserted the house. So everybody that was in the house room just went up to the 90s room, which was crazy. And then, like, obviously some people were coming in later because they were coming in for the other rooms, like the hardcore room, the D&B room, etc. So they starts coming in a little bit later, and then obviously the hardcore room opens. I think it opened about 10. And I think some of the other rooms maybe opened at 9, I can't remember. To be honest, the 90s room was having my attention for a lot of the night because it was just, it really was a banging room. Like, I've never seen anything like it in all my life. It was crazy. So yeah, but the hardcore room opened, and that was in itself, it was a really, it was a banging room. It was like every time you was in a different room, it was like you were in a different club. It was just honestly like each room had its own sort of like unique style to it, and it honestly felt like you was in a different place. Each room had a bar in it. Like, I've never seen a venue like it. And when you look at it from the outside, you don't think anything of it. you think, oh yeah, it's, you know, it looks like a normal average sort of seafront building, an arcade probably at the bottom, or at the bottom it kind of looks a bit like your normal sort of Weatherspoons, you know, tables, chairs outside. You'd go there and have a brekkie, you have your 2-for-1 meal, and then you just go inside, and it's just this massive, all these flights of stairs leading off to different rooms that all have their own unique style. That I think they'd all been like, you know, like decorated and stuff, you know, for the event. But honestly, I've just never seen anything like it. The hardcore room was like you went down some stairs into almost like a basement, and there was like a massive bar in there. There was like a really nice sort of like DJ booth area, and then there was just loads of like dance floor space and like seats and stuff in there. Then there was like a little VIP room in there, which I've got a little story to tell in there actually. So Lee's in there because obviously he goes round with his camera, gets in all the VIPs, goes on the stage, and he's there with our friend Sid P, who's a host. And I'm just dancing in the room, but I'm sort of staying nearby because, you know, then we go up to another room together. So I'm just sort of dancing nearby, and Lee says to Sid, you know, is it, you know, can Noble come into this little room? You know, I want him to take a photo, etc. So he's like, oh yeah, yeah, he'll be allowed to come in. So I come in and take a picture, blah blah blah. And I take the picture, and then I'm just sort of stood talking for a few minutes, and then I sit down on one of the seats in there, and the guy who's promoting the hardcore room, he comes and goes, whoa, 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 sorry fella, you know, you're not supposed to be in here. So I'm like, all right, fair enough, I can't be in here. So I'm just like, yeah, yeah, cool, because I understand that sometimes, you know, even though I go with Lee to these events, and sometimes I get in, sometimes I don't, like I can't always go into the back rooms. Like it's Lee that goes in the back rooms, and you know I do well enough to get in for free at some of them. So I don't normally like moan or complain because it's just not a thing to do, is it? You know, like I'm getting in these events for free. I get to experience all the I get the experience of you know, seeing all the headliners and stuff. So for me, that's good enough. So he was like, so I was just like, fair enough. You know, I didn't argue with him. It's not my style. So I'm dancing on the dance floor, and then probably about 2-3 minutes later, he calls me back over, and he goes, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know who you were. I didn't realise who you was. Come back in. Of course you can come in." And he didn't realise that it was me, DJ Ash Noble, and that I'd come with Lee. And as soon as he knew that, he let me back in. So I was like, all right, cool, fair enough. So I just chilled in there for a bit. That was sort of like towards not far off when we left. But yeah, it was just, like I said, the whole experience was just absolutely phenomenal. There was people there that that recognised me. And I do apologise. I mean, there were some people that were coming up. They were saying Ash Noble. And I'm thinking, who the fuck are you? Like, honestly, I'm thinking, who are you? Like, I can't believe it. I'm thinking, like, how do you know me? And then they're, like, saying my name, and then there was, like, some people, and they're like, you go to Doncaster Warehouse, don't you? You're on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, I'm not on TikTok, but I am on TikTok. This is the thing. I've been plastered on other people's TikTok accounts, and basically, people, like, think I've got an account, but I do, well, I do have a TikTok account, but I barely ever post on it. A lot of people have said that I should get into TikTok. I've never really been keen on it. I like heard a few bad things about it when it first surfaced, and I thought I don't want to be a part of this app. But now, like DJs and people are like, you know, like posting on it all the time, and apparently it's like good for promotional use, so people are saying like you should get it. But I like, to me it doesn't, like what I don't like is like just all these like daft little videos on there, like where you like move your lips and pretend you're the voice of a guy from a movie, or like you just do these daft little dances. Like that doesn't interest me. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was to use TikTok like on a like sort of permanent, like proper, you know, like on a permanent, like on a permanent proper basis, Like obviously I do like normal shit on it. I just promote like if I'm going to a venue or something. Do you know what I mean? So there we go. But yeah, all through, it was a banging night. And I tell you what, I feel it today. When you've been to 2 raves and you're absolutely like, it almost feels like I'm hungover. But I've not touched a drop of alcohol. But you know, because like you're kind of that tired. But like part of me feels like I want to go today because I want to be that soldier. I want to do the 3-day rave. I want to do the 3-day weekender. Like I feel like I'll be letting myself down. I'll be letting the ravers down. So you never know. You might see me. Do you know what I mean? One day, surely I can do the final day. It's Dioxide at the Doncaster Warehouse. It's a vinyl only night. So I'm looking forward to that. If I do obviously end up going. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the stream. But this has by far been the best rave that I have ever been to. And I've been to a fair few good raves. But this, like, it just blew me away. All the different rooms, all had their own unique style. Not just music-wise, decor-wise. You know what I mean? It felt like I was in a completely different place every time I was in a different room. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely phenomenal. So I forget the other guy, the other promoter's name, but big up to Zach Holland because I know he was involved in putting this event together. Absolutely smashed it out the park, and they deserve all the good things that are coming to them for putting something so spectacular on. They put a banging rave on. That's all I can say. They put a banging rave on. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share, subscribe. Apologies about the background noise, but they're going to be live on YouTube arguing, so, you know, it's for other people to laugh at. That's all I'm saying. You know, I've got quite an alright following, so they're going to be getting laughed at online for shouting in the background. Do you know what I mean? It'd be quite funny. Be quite funny. I remember I was at when I used to do my other channel. I was at when I used to live at my nan's. I was there about. Oh.